It's unbelievable how chronic the shortage of skilled labor is in this country. We don't have vocational schools. There's no apprentice programs. This is a huge crisis of the country.
So next time you see a mechanic, thank him. We're a dying breed. And the way things are going now, if you don't take care of us or kind of treat us better, you're not going to have many mechanics around. And then you're going to be paying $500 an hour for door rate. So make friends with mechanics.
Now, imagine this. You drop your car off for a simple fix, something you've done over a dozen times, a brake job, a new thermostat. You call to expect it in a day or maybe two, but instead, the phone stays silent. A week goes by, and then 2-3 weeks later, your mechanic finally calls and his voice is sounding very tired, and just to tell you that your car is ready. You'll be one of the lucky ones because this isn't a scary story that is being told on the internet. For millions of us, it has become an unsettling new reality. When the staggering $2.8 trillion auto market shattered last year, it took the entire parts pipeline down with it. And that pipeline was the blood system pumping through our automotive world. And it didn't just clog, it just happened to snap. The market crash happening now in 2025 isn't a mirror tremor. It's a seismic quake, and it's sending fractures throughout every layer of the automotive world. And it's not only scaring off new car buyers, it's shattering the supply chain from the foundry to your local garage. In the blink of an eye, shipping cost leaped by over 40%. Then came the tariffs. And like surprise toll booths that suddenly appeared on a free highway, it just slapped a 20% tax on almost every part that cross in North American borders. Many YouTubers and mainstream medias have been reporting that dealerships have become graveyard for unsold cars. For the industry, cash flow, its lifeblood, it just evaporated like a river in a drought. Now, facing a future with no orders, parts manufacturers did the only thing they could. They just slammed the brakes on parts, and it's an act so sudden you could almost hear the screeching echoes across continents. The agonizing wait you experience for a repair, that's just the smoke curling from underneath the door. It's a sign of a much larger fire raging inside the building. Now we have the Ford CEO blaming repairs on a shortage of mechanics. Ford has made over $5 billion in revenue, but somehow their dealers, like most, are struggling to keep qualified mechanics. Mechanics are pissed off, and they're saying the very same thing I've been shouting from the rooftop for over 5 years now, but no one listens anyway. But we will continue. Now, take a look as to what he has to say.
You don't think we have enough skilled labor? I mean, interestingly, Hyundai obviously was effectively importing its own labor at one point.
Yes. Oh, no, it's unbelievable how chronic the shortage of skilled labor is in this country. We don't have vocational schools. There's no apprentice programs. This is a huge crisis of the country. If you ask your local plumber and electrician, who is their next generation? They'll say, I don't know. We have to solve that problem. These are small businesses that don't have a lot of resources. If we don't help them, we are going to be in trouble as a country. We're already suffering on the construction side considerably. We have to build all these data centers, but there's no people to do it so far. A lot of construction companies here today because we have to solve this problem.
So basically he's saying to step into almost any independent repair shop today and you'll see a graveyard of good intentions. Bays that once hummed with activity are now silently parking lots for cars, and a lot of them are on stands waiting. It's human nature to want to blame one thing to find a single broken link in the supply chain. But this was a perfect storm, a conspiracy of about 3 catastrophes happening all at once, and we're going to get into all of them. But first, I'm going to feature some of the mechanics because they are the ones who are willing to explain what is happening, but no one is willing to listen to them. We have seen countless news reports, I've covered some of them, of people talking to shop owners instead of talking to the source itself, which are the mechanics. Take a look at this.
All right, Vato, let's do this.
All right.
So we saw a video of the fucking Ford CEO saying that there's a shortage of technicians. They have 6,000 empty bays. And he understands why now. So here's your fucking answer, dude. This is why.
This is why. Your answer is
because you charge an insane door rate. Technicians don't take home even a third of that usually. You make junk vehicles. I mean, and your labor times suck. They're usually less than half of what it takes to do the job.
Yeah. So take into consideration that we have to buy our own freaking tools. That's one. Two, your warranty times are shit. If an engine replacement pays 25 hours under customer pay, and then we go do it on the warranty, it's freaking 10 hours. So you're screwing us up. You're supposedly helping out the customer at the cost of the technician's paycheck. So, yes, that's the freaking reason why, not because your other stupid reasons that you mentioned.
That on top of overcomplicating simple things that you've had for years that have worked well. You constantly reinvent the wheel, model to model, year to year, making repairs more lengthy and difficult technicians. That's why everybody's leaving the industry. Pretty simple.
If you guys fix your reasons why there's a shortage of technicians, there wouldn't be a shortage. So this has nothing to do with colors, white or blue. If the pay was fair and everything else that comes with it was fair, then there wouldn't be a shortage on any freaking industry.
The end.
Adios, mofos.
So what they basically did was neglect the very essentials, the blue-collar workers who were building and maintaining our infrastructures for generations, and mechanics are one of them. But while they talk about the side of the mechanics, I will also concentrate on the part supply aspect of it. And one of the first catastrophe we have to speak about is the raw materials. Now, when the market collapsed, it was like a massive dam was built across the river of materials like magnesium, aluminum, and plastics. Now, recently, we have parts makers like First Brand filing for bankruptcy, forcing many to cancel their contracts. Now, think about the shop. While a car sits motionless, it occupies a bay that could be generating an income. The rent is still due, the lights are still on, all those costs will pile up. Suddenly, a repair that could have been $300 may spiral past $1,000, and the customer is going to be shocked. They'll say, I'll wait. The shop loses that job, and this will create a dangerous whirlpool, just pulling down the customer's budget, the shop's revenue, and eventually the number of skilled mechanics available, making future waits even longer. Let's take a look at another one.
Y'all think I'm bullshitting. Let me show y'all something. See that? All that needs is hood brackets. 18 weeks out. Can you show the logo? But this thing, differential pressure sensor, 8 weeks out. Let's go down the list. Waiting on parts. Oh, waiting on parts. Waiting on parts. Even trailers, waiting on parts. Definitely waiting on parts. Definitely waiting on parts, waiting on parts, waiting on parts. It's done hit. It's going to get bad. Real bad. Y'all's Amazon Prime, and they ain't going to have it. Next day air, not going to have it. It's getting ridiculous out here. I mean, we're completely lined up. We damn sure almost don't have any work because we've essentially became a fucking parking lot.
For decades, the auto industry was a marvel of efficiency built on a philosophy called just in time. I know because I've seen it in action. It was a beautiful idea. Parts would arrive at your door precisely when you need it. It was a logistic high-wire act performed flawlessly as long as the world was predictable. But the 2025 crash revealed the terrifying truth. There was never a safety net. The economic conditions will only turn routine maintenance into a luxury. So, in this broken world, how do you protect yourself? You will have to become a fanatic about maintenance. Fresh oil, clean filters, proper tire pressure. And this isn't just good advice anymore, it's a survival strategy. every bit of preventative care reduces the stress on parts that have become nearly irreplaceable.
Dear Mr. Farley, I hope this message finds you well. While I don't directly work for Ford, I think I can speak collectively for the technicians in the United States. Let's start with one thing that you can help us with. We as technicians are forced to work flat rate. And when warranty time is constantly being lowered, it doesn't make sense for technicians to be forced to work on a system where the faster they work, the better they work, the more money and the more hours and the more time they can get paid. But then warranty will then automatically just reduce time, and you're getting paid tenths on the dollar to do a job that should pay 2 to 3 hours because warranty is trying to cut their costs and save money. It just doesn't make sense for technicians to be forced on a system that they rely so heavily on warranty for. Let's start with another one, the flat rate system. Just like I spoke, we're forced to work a system where we have to put in the time, we have to put in the effort, and it doesn't always reap the benefits. We're stuck in a system where we're being forced to work 10, 12, 14-hour days and 5-6 days a week. There are all so many alternatives to this, which I'd love to speak to you about and provide a future for technicians where we're not forced to work this flat rate system that is ultimately not benefiting us. All right, the third one, pretty easy here, career progression. It used to be there was a clear path from lube tech to service manager. There's plenty of success stories of this, not enough, actually. Now, there's guys in the industry, 20, 30 years who just don't want to be a technician anymore because there's no progression for them. They've been stuck as a tech for too long, their bodies are broken down, and they're completely having to leave the trade. They're becoming negative about the dealership environment or the technician environment simply because they've just been stuck in the shop for so long. There was no progression for them. And I think you spoke about it in this interview about how we need to create a pipeline. And I think that pipeline can still apply to the veterans in the industry. How can we get those people from trade school or high school up to service manager? What's that path look like? It sounds like you're very interested in addressing this situation. And I hope that you and I can speak on it because I know there's an extreme room for growth in this industry. There's so much room for growth. And I hope that we can talk about it in the near future.
It's just a lack of succession planning and management practices. I don't know what is happening. I'm glad I'm no longer in management because it is frustrating to see so many potential come through the door that you want to give an opportunity. But sometimes there is a ceiling that you can't pass. And there's also people above that ceiling that keep pushing the ceiling down. So there's too many politics into it to describe it, but succession planning is something that needs to be addressed, especially for every single company. The second point I want to give you is that if your car is running well, you have to learn to love it. You have to postpone any upgrades you're going to want to do because playing the used car lottery right now is going to be a huge gamble. You might get an awesome deal on a used car right now only to discover it needs a rear part, turning your bargain into a permanent resident for your garage. And this is one of the hardest part. You must have a dedicated fund for car repairs. A repair that cost $250 years ago can easily become a $1,000 catastrophe overnight. And you have to be financially prepared for the frequent storms happening now in the auto industry. If this story sounds all too familiar, if you've been a hostage in this type of game, I want to hear from you. Please share your story in the comments and tell me the longest you've actually had to wait for a part or to have your car repaired. Your story matters. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button. It helps us to keep the lights on and allow us to continue to dig for the truth you need to hear.
So yesterday we were talking about a recession and something came out that's pretty alarming. I was talking about how our shop is, for the majority of the time, empty. We don't have that much work coming in. I mean, we're decent. We're not horrible. We have times where it's literally so slow, there's nothing to do. To the point where you've cleaned everything, you've taken all the trash out, you've done everything you possibly can, and there's still nothing to do. As you can see behind me, we got a couple cars in the bay today, waiting on some parts for this one. The other guy's working on this one. Did a water pump today, did a couple other things. But I was getting a lot of people saying yesterday that their shops are 2 to 3 weeks out. It's a location issue. It's It's a shop issue. You guys must not do good work, yada, yada, yada. The list goes on and on. But the Ford CEO actually gave an interview talking about how there's a shortage of technicians in Ford dealerships.
2 weeks. Average wait is 2 weeks. Not because we don't have the parts, we don't have the mechanics.
We're pretty much fully stacked here. We have 3 full-timers, myself included. We're only a 5-bay shop, so it's not like we can take up that much work anyway. So when we have work rolling in, we can basically take it immediately. We're not really booked out for weeks and weeks and weeks. So if you're working for a shop that only has a few technicians, and it's a bigger shop, and you guys are used to taking maybe 5 cars at one time, of course you're going to be backed up for weeks and weeks and weeks. There's a technician shortage in this country. Companies don't want to hire people because people aren't spending money. People come in just for their oil changes. They don't want to get anything else. And when it comes down to it, people just don't have money. The economy's bad right now, and I do think that we are in a recession. You can make excuses as to why our shop is slow, but the fact of the matter is our economy is really fucking bad right now. We're not the only slow shop in our area. There's a guy I'm friends with on here. He's about 30 minutes southwest of us, and he's slow too, and he's in a busy area, the Route 130 corridor. You know, back in the day, my grandpa used to take his truck to a shop. It was called Ed and Ben Service Center. And he had 1 technician working there. So he was backed up for like a month. You couldn't get your truck in there for like a month. So if you think about it, the Ford CEO is saying if there's a shortage of technicians, and that's a fact. If you look it up, there is a shortage of automotive technicians out there right now. A lot of people either don't want to be auto technicians or they can't get a job as an auto technician. Some places don't pay enough, and some places won't even hire you. Our economy is that fucking bad. But it's a
But what we did was to allow the problem to compound itself, and it piles on top of each other. But let him finish.
our shop, right? Look, when I know that we do. But I, for a fact, know that we do good work because I pay attention to your vehicle as if it were my own. And that's just the way I do things.
And now we're blaming the 2025 crash because it did more than just dent a few balance sheets. You have to maintain your vehicle like it's the last one you'll ever own. You have to plan for repairs like a storm is on the horizon and support the local shops that are fighting on the front lines to keep us all moving. But a lot of people, they have to be thinking about their priorities. What matters the most? The little oil change you can do at home, you're going to have to start doing it. Let's take a look at another one.
So I'm watching the Ford CEO say, we don't have any mechanics. We can't get anything fixed. You know, it's funny. What do they think is going to happen if they continue to let the economy run the way it's running? To become a mechanic, you got to take up trade school. To take up trade school, you got to go full-time. Even part-time is damn near full-time, but you got to go full-time. You got to take out debt to pay for the trade school. Then you have to have experience because most places don't want to hire anybody with experience coming fresh out of anything. You know, whatever it is, electricians, construction workers, just general laborers, no one wants to pay. And then you go through all this trouble. And if you can find a position, let's say at a Ford dealership, they want to pay a tech $19 an hour, $21 an hour when you're, you know, however much in debt, wherever you're from is obviously every trade school is going to have a different, price. But the point is the same. You go through all this effort, you rack up all this debt because if you can't go to work, you need more debt to survive. If you're not fortunate enough to have, parents or family, if you don't have anyone to help you out, you got to stay somewhere, right? It's a fascinating thing. Mechanics don't want to work. And I know this because I see it everywhere. It doesn't matter what dealership you go to. There are no mechanics. Nobody wants to do these things. Well, people want to do these things. They just financially can't. So what do you do? How do you continue this economy? I don't know. What do you guys think?
And to reiterate the fact that 20, 25 years ago, automotive schools were pumping out apprentices like water out a pipe. And those apprentices were begging shops and garages to give them an opportunity to excel and to become a full-time mechanic. But something changed in upper management, giving them the ability to stifle the progress. And this is where we are right now for individuals trying to become mechanics. They have just basically given up and walk away. And it's not only mechanics. It is now affecting the overall trade skills employees who were finding it difficult to get into it. Now, a lot of people no longer see college as a viable option. They're going back to picking up a hammer, a shovel, to be a mechanic, to be an electrician, and willing to wear the overall on the streets once more. So hats off to all the blue collar brothers out there who are willing to maintain and build our infrastructure despite the disadvantages and the negative aspects of what is trying to put them down. Thank you for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one.